Well, I'm very excited today to have our lovely Shellie Enteen back again, because I wanted to pick her brains about astrology. Now, coming up are eclipses, and I've got to tell you, people, I don't like eclipses at all. Historically, I've not done well with them. Some horrible things have happened to me. So I'm looking to Shellie to throw some light on how to tackle these challenges. Are they challenges? Are they opportunities? So come on then, Shellie, talk to me about it.
All right, I'm going to talk to you about it. You know, they're just accelerated new moons and full moons. And they have a purpose, just like everything else, just like Mercury retrograde has a purpose, which we're having this talk with a stationed Mercury right now. And so I'm hoping that I can get it all out. They come in pairs, and we usually have 4 every year. So all of us, depending on how old you are, you've been through them every year. Now, when it gets really significant for people is when it is making a conjunction to a planet or an opposition or a square. You're going to feel the challenges more. I happen to be so happy that this one is making trines and sextiles to everything in my chart. So I'm not too upset about it. We like to look at what house it falls in, because that's the action for you, you know. So we have this first 2023 is April 20th at 12:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which means it's, what does that make it? 5:13 a.m. for you?
Like that.
Yeah, in the UK. So it is not a full eclipse, it's a hybrid. It's going to look like, you know, somebody took a bite out of the sun. And I was like kind of downloaded with this information, which I feel like I have to say, but I mean, I was just downloaded with it recently. You know how it is.
I do know how it is. I do know how it is. And so I'm excited to hear this.
So, you know how they call it a dark moon or a black moon? Now, they're very fond of saying black moon. Let me just say this about the moon. The moon never changes. The amount of light that comes to us changes. And so the night is black. Our night is black at a new moon because there's no moonlight coming. You know, and if you're very aware of your environment and you are going to bed, certain nights, you know, the room is lighter, and certain nights it's dark, you know. So I just felt like I needed to tell people who are very fond of calling the moon that. Now, when there's a solar eclipse, the moon can look black because it's not bringing any light toward us. So this time it'll look like a little black chunk that's taken out, but we won't see it. And I personally do not like being under the shadow of an eclipse. You know, everybody's all excited, but in August of 2017, in the United States, people were rushing. People were calling me and asking if they could visit me because I was going to be right under the shadow of the full total solar eclipse in Leo. Yippee! And I'm like, oh no, oh no, no. Because, and that was like late degrees also, 29 degrees maybe, or 27 of Leo. It was making a shadow that started the shadow in the northwest of the United States and made a diagonal, completely bisecting the United States and off the coast of my state, South Carolina. And I said, this is going to split our country in half. And some of you may be familiar with what goes on in the United States with a certain president at that time, who is not president now, and the acceleration of division is still going on. from that eclipse, the acceleration. And that eclipse was exactly conjunct his ascendant Mars.
That's so
So
interesting.
it became more militant also. So this astrologer is personally happy, happy, happy. And I am not under the shadow, or my country isn't under the shadow, or my state. But who is going to be under this shadow? We could ask that question, right? And there are four, and I would like to mention them. We are going to have one here, unfortunately, but I'd like to mention the two, not just the one that's coming this week, because you have the new moon and then the full moon, the lunar eclipse. Okay, so they're kind of like a little set to two different areas of life. But at any rate, the one that we're looking at now is going to have its exact shadow. And there's also like an orb of shadow. Some people will see a little bit more, and but the people who see the full event are going to be in the South Pacific. And if you're in Australia listening to this, it's really clips the northwest coast of your country.
This one now that's coming up.
Yes, the one that's coming.
Yeah.
And it will be, it's like an arc that's going over from the east and clipping the top of New Zealand and just that coastline of your country, and then it goes south. But the spread goes up to Indonesia and the South Pacific, the Indonesian island, Southeast Asia, I should say. So that is the area where we can expect to see something in the news. Things will be happening. They may be geophysical, and they may be governmental. You know, there'll be things in the world, because the solar eclipse, the dynamic energy of the sun, which is giving us our self-expression and our personal kingdom, is outer, right?
Yeah.
In the person. So it's outer expression for us also personally, but it's outer world change.
And
So
so
when
do you see it as disturbance or just change?
well, that is a great idea to ponder.
Mm.
It will absolutely be a change. And the viewpoint of the observer is going to decide if it's bad.
Yeah,
Or
that's
good,
true.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, you know, this is like philosophical, but most people, change is not their favorite word.
No, I'm not a
You know,
fan.
nobody really, I mean, we've got it handled, you know, if we think we have it handled. And that's why we have such a difficult time in life now, because we literally went into timeless time in 2012. We did that. We came to the top of the Stepstone Mayan pyramid calendar. If you don't know anything about that, I have a great link for you to share with people. And it was literally coming to the top of the Stepstone pyramid, where change is now constant. You know, back in the 1800s, nothing changed. You know, you knew the same people your whole life.
Yeah.
You could wear the same clothes maybe, or maybe earlier in the 1800s.
Mm.
But you know what I'm saying? And now you come home with your iPhone 14, they already have a 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't keep up with it.
Mm.
And so we're already at that level of discomfort, constant discomfort. Because even during the day, you know, things you thought you were going to do, or something's going to happen, this is going to change, that's going to, Facebook changes its, Zoom changes its, you know, it's like, I feel that people do that for one reason, because they have to justify their employment, you know.
Mm.
You know, if everything's fine and they can go home.
Yeah, yes.
But, you know, we used to have an expression, if it isn't broke, or they would say, it ain't broke,
Don't
so
fix it.
fix it.
Yeah.
But now it ain't broke, but we're going to keep changing.
Yeah.
So the idea of change, not a happy idea, but if you have something on this, is going to be 29 degrees of Aries, the solar eclipse. It's where it is. Now, this is also fascinating because it is the second new moon in Aries. Now, we never hop up and down out there with special energy fluttering around when we have two full moons in the same sign or two new moons in the same sign. But if you're an astrologer, you know that those are the emphatic moments, because instead of just getting one shot at something changing in the Aries nature of your life, you get two.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get a solar eclipse, which can have an effect for 6 months. The eclipses have an orb of influence. We're already in it a little, and it can continue. If you're conjunct or near or opposite or square or a midheaven or an ascendant position, which is the important axis of the outer world, you will feel it first.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone will feel it in the house, wherever that 29 degrees Aries falls, the house of the chart. We'll see some sort of a shift. But the ending is followed by what? A new beginning. So this is why we say, is this a bad thing or not? You know, so somebody posted a wonderful meme for this. It said, the universe only has 3 answers for you. Yes, not now, or I have something better in mind for you. All right. So your new pathway may be something that you've been waiting for this change to take place, and you can be excited about it. On the other hand, depending on where it is, etc., and so forth, it may be come upon you without your conscious realization that you were actually heading that way. Because it's another thing about us. And I've been in my Astro Lessons Facebook page, I've been telling people for over a week now, look at what's happening this week, because you're going to get clues in what's been rolling in your life about how this change is going to look for you. It really is only our focus that makes it a surprise. Because you know how when you look back at things and you go, oh, yes, of course. Or, well, if that didn't happen, then this would never have happened. It's always that. So I don't like to say that people are going to always have a hard time, but if we are processing archetypal energies, and with Aries, we are definitely all processing that already, because we've got, at the time of this eclipse, the sun and moon, obviously together. That's what makes the eclipse. The moon is blocking the sun at the new moon cycle. You know, we have got that happening. And then we also have Jupiter in Aries. And we have Jupiter as expansion. So Aries gets expanded in a good or a bad way. You know, expansion isn't always good. So Jupiter in Aries is showing us the megalomaniacs that want to dominate, because Aries is the god of war, right? And, you know, this is Mars as its ruler, also the god of war. So, you know, we see all this aggressive stuff happening out there, all this anger happening out there. Well, anger is usually because of fear. I mean, we know this as we grow. We understand that we get upset because we think we're in trouble, and then we lash out, right? Or we grab something, or we go after something. So this is going on. But now we also have had Chiron, which is a centaur, and he's very famous centaur. He's the head honcho centaur. He is the great healer and the great teacher, but he has had a wound because Hercules, his student, accidentally, Hercules was always shooting centaurs, didn't like him. So he shot his teacher accidentally in the heel, and it never healed. So Aries is where the wound is being seen now, that the wound we haven't healed yet, which is this negative approach to Aries. but it wants to teach us the positive approach, enlightened leadership, courage instead of fear, being open to the new, Aries, the beginnings, embracing the beginning, and also the invention, and also how to be the authentic individual self. So I was talking to somebody about this client I had this morning, about how we are all this special drop in the ocean that's only us, but so is everybody else.
Mhm.
But that doesn't negate your own special individuated self. So one of the things that's been going on with Chiron in Aries is this I am being challenged tremendously as a wound. And how do we know that? Well, the first thing you have as an identity when you're born is your gender. The doctor tells your father, if your mother's asleep, or tells both of you, you have a son, you have a daughter. And now people are saying, and wait a minute, that's not who I am. That's not how I feel. That's not who I am. So there they are trying to express authentic individuation of self-identity. And it's causing, like in certain states of the United States, I don't know about the rest of the world, people who are so frightened to become almost militant, and sometimes militant against them, you see. And so this is a very important eclipse for change, right? In terms of all those things. So once again, our job is how I see it. Like, since I can't really move all the planets around and I can't change.
What's the point of having you on here if you can't get it? Come on, ready to game.
You shouldn't have said that. You knew I was going to say something I shouldn't have said. This is, okay, you're going to make me lose the track now. You did that on purpose. So no, anyway, I know that there are certain things that are under my control, which is me and my personal environment to an extent, although sometimes it does things I'm not expecting also. But I can send my energy into things. And here, if we're looking at Aries, if I send anger into things, I'm feeding them. I'm not fixing them. So we can become responsible for our response. Aries is fast, it's impatient, it's quick. So we can learn to say, okay, I feel that, but I can stop a moment, I can breathe, and I can connect to something higher within myself. Or if you like to put them outside yourself, you can do that too. So does the eclipse sound as bad as it used to sound now, or?
Well, at least it's not over Ludlow. That's all I've got to say. No, it sounds incredibly interesting actually to watch. So you did say to me, watch what's been coming up around me, and I haven't seen an obvious theme yet, except for working so hard. But so that's, but this, it'll be interesting to look back and go, oh, okay, yeah, that did happen, because so many things have happened this week. So that's interesting. But yes.
Do you know where it is in your chart?
No. So no. So do you know where it is in your chart?
I think I do.
I thought you might.
I think, as I recall, you have Aries rising.
I am Aries rising, yes.
It's in your first house.
Yes,
of
I
your
was thinking that when you said it.
self-identity.
Yeah, yeah.
And your public presentation.
It's definitely changing. Yeah, it is definitely changing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad change, is it?
No, No, I don't think it is. No. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens then. And so you think, so we're not expecting something dramatic on the day. It evolves sometime over the 6 months.
If it's a really direct hit, maybe on the day. Maybe even it already happened because it's so close.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a direct, like if you have something at 29, like my client this morning who had a 29-degree Aries moon. But, you know, if this is something that you're working on, then it's perfect.
The world's your lobster. That's it.
You get
That's
the
exciting.
energy. So
No, you've actually you've soothed me a lot over this, because I do get anxious, because it must have happened to me. I must have had a direct hit in 2008.
Okay.
Because so many things, bad things happened all on the same day. We both lost jobs. We came to lose our house through it. Found out that I was pregnant, which is a good thing now, but didn't feel like it then.
Right.
My husband found out he got diabetes. It was just like it just went all on one day.
Everywhere. Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it kind of poisoned the chalice for me somewhat.
Well, that's perfectly understandable. I mean, I'm not saying that I always feel good also about it, you know, when things are happening. You can't, but if you are, the thing is to take the step back always to objectify just a little bit and ask, what is it? What am I learning here? Why am I, you know, I'm not being punished. I'm being led. I'm being guided. I'm being challenged. With Aries, it can be challenge to
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm fully aware that that awful day, and it was an awful day, changed our life for the better. It definitely did. You know,
ultimately.
we went on to have to sell our house. We moved to Ludlow. I mean, we moved from a really horrible place to the most beautiful place. You know, we got to raise Dexter in a much nicer place, and my work flourished here. I didn't write very well when I was in the city, so I know that it was for the better, but it was very painful. You know, it was a chrysalis moment. You know, the pressure was unbearable that we had to go through to do it.
And that would have been like, if I had your chart and I was looking at that time, I would see more than the eclipse going on.
I think so.
There would be more, you know, like a real tango going on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
In both of your charts, probably, right?
Yeah, so interesting.
But, you know, the thing is, like I said, Aries, I should tell you that the eclipses always take place on the evolutionary axis. Okay, the nodes of the moon are the area where it's going to line up.
So like north-south road.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the south node is suggesting we need to look at this and elevate it. And the north node is suggesting try going in this direction in the positive sense. All right. So, I mean, there are other people who would describe it differently, but that's how I describe it. And so we have, this is the first eclipse in what is going to be our new evolutionary axis. It's coming in soon, May, I think. It is going to be a north node in Aries and a south node in Libra. Well, Libra, beauty, equality, justice, a south node? How could that be? Well, you know, when you're in a south node Libra, you are overdoing it to please others. And you can't make a decision because one thing seems right, one thing doesn't. Or you're looking at the laws of the land as the letter of the law, as opposed to the spirit of the law. There's many ways that Libra and partnership, you know, if you're looking at it, this is the sign of your significant others. And so if you're over giving into the significant other and not developing enough of the self, in, you're letting go of that. So this is what we're all going to be looking at, but we have to look at the positive Aries, and that's why there's such a concentration of Aries right now, so that we can, we can kind of look out at the world and make a choice. If we can. I mean, like a lot of the population won't have any clue about this. Like they don't know when Mercury's retrograde and they don't know what's going on. So when we don't know, this is one of the things I love about astrology, is that when you know, you can work with it. When you don't know what's hit you, you're just waiting for the thing to happen.
Going back to what you said about the North Node, South Node axis. So are you suggesting that for it to be Aries, things need to be more self-centered?
Self-centered sounds, I don't know how, this could be a language difference between us and the UK. But it's not negative Aries is self-centered in a selfish way.
So I was thinking more in terms of you're quite right. I can see what you're saying about negative. Like more like, well, I'm going to say, I hate the expression, but more from a self-love, a self-preservation, an egocentric point of view.
Becoming authentic and caring about the self. Saturn, everything happens with other things going on. Saturn's in Pisces. And one of the things this is going to help us do is learn how to set boundaries. Because Pisces is, the formless ocean, the flowing, which is fine. It has good qualities, but sometimes we need to put a boundary up. And so with the North Node in Aries with Saturn and Pisces, we have to find that place where we can be comfortable with the self and our own identity, right? And not let other people dictate to us. But again, not to become, angry and combative.
Yeah. Because I agree that I think this, well, I also think that we're kind of moving in that towards that Pisces energy as well, of swimming in everybody else's stuff all of the time, right. and there is a sense of like, oh, I don't know the last time I had my own thought, when I'm, right. There's a lot of, I'm an empath and there's lots of empaths like that, I'm sure at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I'm having a little, need to do that. So I understand completely, and we're bombarded constantly. And you just froze up a little bit. Do you see that you're frozen? I can't hear you either. Oh well, you'll come back. I feel you will. I'll just keep going and see what happens. So anyway, so these eclipses and the nodes and everything is happening with other planets also going on. And, we're up to a big transformation point. And so it's very important for us to let go of some of the difficult issues of human beings in the past. And I am just recording now all by myself. I know she'll come back. I hope she'll come back, because she has the greatest questions, doesn't she? The other eclipse that's coming in is the lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Scorpio. This is the old nodes right now. We have the South Node in Scorpio and the North Node in Taurus. So this was our power axis and our financial axis. And we were trying to learn how to also be in harmony with the earth, Taurus, and not be in dominion over it and allow it to be worn away and destroyed, as Scorpio in its negative axis is, manipulation and control and the destruction energies, as opposed to the preservation energies. And she's back connecting to audio. Here she comes. Liz, I was just talking to them about the lunar eclipse that's coming in. So once you get back and your
Do you
photo,
just carry on talking then?
I kept on talking.
What a pro! What a pro!
I couldn't leave you. I couldn't abandon you. Abandon ship. No, I
I
knew
don't know
you
what
would
happened.
come
The internet just went down. Sorry about that, Shellie.
It's, this is the thing
What,
about
what were you
what you
talking?
can't control.
Tell me, tell me. What were you talking about in my absence? Did I miss gems?
You missed the fact that I was mentioning that we have a lunar eclipse as the pair here is in our old axis of South Node Scorpio, North Node Taurus. We've been in that for a while. And I was mentioning the fact that, Scorpio, especially when it gets fearful, is controlling. I mean, if it survival. I mean, when you look at the low level of Scorpio, you're looking at the instinctive reactions of things like a snake, or I'm not that snakes are bad, but they're going to react immediately if they feel threatened, And then you go up a little higher, you get to the eagle, and then eventually you can get to the people. Some people say phoenix, but I say the dove because that's a level of achievement that if you get to with Scorpio, you become a great healer with love, because that is a healer's sign, Scorpio. The snake energy, the Kundalini energy, all of that, and the ability to see, in really deep ways, very helpful, but when it's frightened and it's aggressive, it's going to be very unpleasant, and turmoil is the word I always use. It's really constant churning turmoil. And the North Node in Taurus is that peaceful place, the mountain, the bull. You have to really stick those pins in the bull, before you can get him to charge the cape, right? Otherwise, it's just like, what do you want? I'm here. Here I am. I'm having a nice day. Leave me alone, right? But anyway, so North Node is also trying to focus us in on preserving and the planet and nature, So we've had a lot of journey there, and how to use our finances, just personal finances. Shared resources is Scorpio, and people are controlling shared resources now that aren't, doing things that are helping the earth, for instance, and
Correct.
some others on the earth. So, we never seem to totally get the message all through society. Some of us get the message, that when we're in turmoil, we should sit, like be like a tree, or go hug a tree, or smell some essential oils like rose, and, do something that's nurturing. Nurture.
Yeah.
So the lunar eclipse is interesting because it's on May 5th, which for the people in the UK, you should be quite aware of the fact that a coronation is about to take place.
I mean, I just clearly do not have an astrologer in the palace, do they? They didn't pick an easy date at all.
Well, it's what he picked, or what they picked, or who knows who picked it. It is affecting the chart of Charles, who is a Scorpio. And it is the axis of the house axis. The Taurus energy is, he has his moon in Taurus, and his mother was a Taurus, right? And that eclipse is taking place in the 10th house. Now, what this lunar eclipse is about is now the moon is our instinctive responses to the environment. It's not something that is objective thinking. Also, it's like, it's what I feel this, I feel that, I feel it. And can be reactive also. Like, if you see a little crab, which is the Cancer, the crab, right? If we see that animal, and I've had the experience of this happening, and you notice that it came up and it's walking on the sand on the beach, you can be sitting, lounging in your lounge chair far, far away, but that will feel your vision on it and go boom, down. Protection, security. This is the instinct for those things, right? So a lunar eclipse is going to bring up something around all of that, and it's relationship oriented, relationship to the environment, but relationship to other people also. You know, who am I safe around? Who am I not safe? Where do I feel comfort? Where do I feel nourished? All right. So here is this lunar eclipse taking place in the public house above, right above him, right? But it's taking place at 1:34 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So it's not quite, the total isn't quite in the UK, but this one is going to take in all of Europe and it goes into the West Africa, and it's huge. The shadow is huge, but it is so clear that he is going to have a completely different relationship with everyone when he is coronated. He's already experiencing it, and it shouldn't surprise anyone that this is also a lunar eclipse that's affecting Harry and his wife. So are they coming or aren't they coming? I mean, one of the things that's hanging over his experience has to do with the polarity, because the full moon is the polarity between the sun and moon. The full moon is the furthest away from the sun, so it's polarized. And so this is just the issue. So is it, he could have picked a better day, but he picked a day that is demonstrating a reality for him.
And you're quite right. I mean, his rule is definitely going to be different by design, isn't it?
It's already amazing what he's saying and what he's thinking. It's like, did you ever hear of any leader anywhere giving away a couple of $1 billion to his country because they're in need? Did you ever hear that before? I don't think I ever heard that before.
No, I mean, we often thought maybe he wouldn't be king, because
I know.
but I always hoped that I would see what he would do. Yeah.
Me too. And, he's a champion of the things that we want someone to be a champion for. But as he said in an interview that I heard, there was just so far he could go if he knew what was good for him.
Yeah.
Because they can't really control everything, but he's doing what he can. And I mean, I knew he was a high-level sensitive a long time ago, but that got him in trouble with his family too. And in that same interview, I heard him say, because he was, as his Taurus moon and Scorpio, other people's values, they were sending him to India, where he was trying to help them learn how to do sustainable, organic, environmentally correct farming. And at several points, he would say twice at least, I know he said to the interviewer, why did they send me there if they didn't want me to care?
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yes. And so he is different. He's had the problem, the stigma of everybody thinking he killed his first wife, which he certainly didn't do.
Nonsense.
But so but again, he's having a different relationship. We've already seen what's going on with him and his brother, and the other brother, and his sister, that he wants to bring her into a higher level. It's like, I mean, I'm gratified that he is getting the chance at this. He'll never, I don't think he has the popularity of the people, but
he does here, I think. He does.
Does he now?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that is good to know. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone off topic now, haven't we? But You
No,
don't
'cause
hear
it's
you don't hear the slating of like him and Camilla here, like I see it written in the States. We just
okay.
not at all.
That's good.
No, I think people were extremely upset when she died. I know I was. I was really,
Everybody.
really disturbed for weeks by it. And
Yes,
that was surprising to me that it went so deep with me, But
me too.
so we have this program in the UK called the Repair Shop. Do you know what the Repair Shop is? Ah,
No,
it's they need to export it to the States. It's fabulous.
I
So it's
wish.
these tradesmen who are very good at what they do, and they get little objects that people bring in that have got sentimental value, and they fix them. So they've got like beautiful leather workers and bookmakers and stuff. Well, actually, they had a platinum jubilee, so his mother was still alive then, and he was still a prince. But they took in this ceramic. He collects. I can't remember what the name of the china was. It was something that I hadn't heard of before. But this beautiful, like Queen Charlotte bowl, and it had got damaged. So the lady that does the china is incredibly good at what she does. She paints the most exquisite things. And he came in and he came and he said, he said, all the way I've been thinking Kirsten won't be able to do that, too much for him. And when he saw the bowl done, he was just like a child, and it was so different to seeing his mother, who was completely, I mean, I loved her, but she was emotionless about everything, He was just like, how did you do that? He was so interested in everything that was going on. And from that interview, I think everybody just went, this is going to be really interesting to see. Yeah.
Yes. And anyway, we'll see what happens on the day. But the fact that it's the moon up there is shedding the light when the eclipse isn't there, because it doesn't happen all day. It's
Yeah,
a time.
yeah.
And I don't think it's exact over England. Because I did back in January, I did a talk on all the eclipses, and I used a lot of charts of famous people, particularly ones that are, waging wars right now.
Can't imagine what you're talking about.
Well, actually, they're getting clobbered. People who are being aggressors, their charts, I should say, getting clobbered. But at any rate, so this is, again, where is it in your chart? I mean, do you have something near 14 degrees of Scorpio or Taurus? Or for to the other fixed signs, which are, if you have Leo or Aquarius, that's close to 14 degrees. And you've already felt them, the challenges. And again, wherever this falls, in what house is it in your chart? That's where a relationship may change. That's where, I actually already had that happen, and it is in my 8th house, because the woman who was my tax preparer, I found out, passed away. And taxes are things in the 8th house.
Other people's money, yeah.
And it was a woman. And but I was lucky to know someone who I could feel comfortable with, who's also a woman. And she did the taxes because, we're just in tax time in the US. So, you can sometimes see it beforehand. And that's for me, because I have a planet that is connecting, but not negatively. One of them is my Mars, and it's a positive, helpful opportunity aspect. So I was able to, I was very sad because I loved the person also. But, so this is what I mean. So you have to look at those places and positions, and then what else is going on in your chart, So for me,
if people want to do that for themselves, they can get print their birth chart off quite easily, can't they? On like Cafe Astrology, something like that.
There's a lot of places that will give you your chart, and
Yeah.
you'll be able to
So
see.
that's easy to do.
Mhm.
But what if they want to come to you and have a reading from you?
It's better.
Of course it's
I
better.
do.
And I can vouch for it. I have to say, Shellie did me a reading and I haven't published it on Facebook, but I was
Yeah.
blown away.
Well, I'm glad. And you mean that in a good way, right?
I do. I keep
I'm
playing
just
it back.
kidding.
I have to say, I've
Really
sent it.
went boom.
I sent, yeah, I sent it to Adam Barrelay, and he went, "This is good." I know it's good. Yeah.
So thank you. Well, all they have to do is go to myname.com, Shellie Enteen, which is Enteen. And then they can go to the astrology readings page, or they can contact me if they want to just contact me, and I could get back to them about it and see what they are looking for and lead them to the right place. Yeah.
Heartily recommended. Heartily
Thank
recommended.
you. Well, I'm grateful that you do.
Anything else you want to say to people before you go?
I want to say something that's going to be very upsetting.
Oh no. Go on.
Yeah, by some people it'll be upsetting. Because we're talking about lunar phases with these eclipses. And, the lunar cycle is 27 or 28 point something degrees a month. It's 27, 28. And that's how it always is. It's always like, it fluctuates a little bit because we're very exact with things like calendars and, it's 12 o'clock or, the sky isn't quite as perfect. But what I have came to see in recent years was the idea that we have 13 moons. So I want to tell you that mathematically, that is not possible every year. It is only possible after 2.75 years or something like that. And that's okay with me. I mean, I think the number 13 is a very sacred and important number because it represents a type of spiritual circle. Like Jesus and the 12 disciples. This is a King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. This is a metaphorical connection to the earth as the center with the 12 signs of the zodiac around it. All right. It's very, the levels on these things are very, go very high. But, you just simply, if you do the math and you go 365 and you divide it by, I'll give you the exact lunar 28.5 or something. It's 28 because you get 4 weeks point something, of a lunar cycle. You just simply, you can't get it every year. And the other thing I want to say is, these are my controversial comments.
But explain that. So you're saying we haven't got 13 moons this year?
Not every year, only every 2 point something years. So, and if you want to learn that that's true, get a calculator and take 365 and divide it by 28.5, say, and see how many times you can get out of that. Because to get a whole lunar cycle, that's how long it takes. So, but that little piece that you'll get at the end will add up. And over 2 point something years, you'll be able to get one in. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can get a full lunar cycle in is if it starts at the 0 point and ends at the 29th degree, right? So that doesn't happen every year also, that you get a whole cycle in, And like I said, they don't really care about new moons too much. They look at the full, the full moon is. So that's just it. I mean, I think it's all right. I don't think that negates the divine feminine in any form whatsoever. The divine feminine being what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just that is the nature of it, isn't it?
It's just the mathematical, but we have the other thing that's controversial that I will share that takes this a little further is that because we follow a Gregorian calendar, that started in the late 500s with Pope Gregory and was violently opposed by the indigenous cultures when they were forced to adopt it, is because it is really a commercial calendar. It is very earth-based. And, you know, we, until recently, we have believed that our solar system is just always in the same place. But now we know that our solar system stays sort of like it is, you know, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars. It stays in that group. The family stays together, but everything is moving. Everything is moving. So other cultures were more aware of this and weren't as restricted. Okay. So it was okay for them to go with the flow of time more than we kind of restrict the time. You know, so it has to, if it's a year, it has to be, this is the year. But we know that every year the winter solstice isn't on the same day. The equinoxes aren't on the exact same day. They're close.
Yeah.
But not. So I just wanted to let people sort of expand into that idea.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. And the blue moon, which is having 2 full moons in 1 month, is following Gregorian calendar. And
Yes.
is very recent, within, you know, a century or something, that somebody came up with that idea.
Just a name, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
But the main thing is if you get 2 of something, like we're having second new moon in the same sign, 2 full moons in the same sign is a great emphasis on a teaching, a quality, perception.
Big lessons to be learned then. Shellie, thank you so much. You've given me so much to think about. I've loved it. Thank you.
I'm glad you let me come and talk.
Say bye, but stay on.
Okay, I will.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.